Hello everyone. British social and cultural policy in India. Till 1813, the British followed a policy of non-interference in the social, religious, and cultural life of the country. After 1830, measures were taken to transform Indian society and its cultural environs because of the emergence of new interests and ideas in Britain of the 19th century in the wake of significant changes in Europe during the 18th and 19th centuries. Some of these changes were Industrial Revolution, which began in the 18th century and resulted in the growth of industrial capitalism. The rising industrial interests wanted to make India a big market for their goods and therefore required partial modernization and transformation of Indian society. Intellectual Revolution, which gave rise to new attitudes of mind, manners, and morals. French Revolution, which with its message of liberty, equality, and fraternity, unleashed the forces of democracy and nationalism. The new trend was represented by Bacon, Locke, Voltaire, Rousseau, Kant, Adam Smith, and Bentham in thought, and by Wordsworth, Byron, Shelley, and Charles Dickens in literature. Characteristics of New Thought. Some of the characteristics of the new wave of thought were rationalism, which advocated faith in reason and scientific attitude; humanism, which advocated the love of man, the belief that every man is an end in himself and should be respected and prized as such. No man has a right to look upon another man as a mere agent of his happiness. These ideals gave rise to liberalism, socialism, and individualism. Doctrine of progress, according to which nothing is static and all societies must change with time. Man has the capacity to remodel nature and society on just and rational lines. Schools of thought. These new currents of thought caused conflicts among administrators and produced different schools of thought. The conservatives advocated introduction of as few changes as possible. Indian civilization they felt was different from the European one but not necessarily inferior to it. Many of these thinkers respected Indian philosophy and culture. If at all, Western ideas and practices were to be introduced gradually and cautiously. Social stability was a must, and they felt. Early representatives of this school of thought were Warren Hastings and Edmund Burke, and later ones included Monroe, Metcalfe, and Elphinstone. The Conservatives remained influential throughout, and most of the British officials in India were generally of a conservative persuasion. The paternalistic imperialists became influential after 1800. They were sharply critical of Indian society and culture and used to justify economic and political enslavement of India. The radicals went beyond the narrow criticism and imperialistic outlook of the conservatives and the imperialists and applied advanced humanistic and rational thought to Indian situation. They thought that India had the capacity to improve and that they must help the country do that. They wanted to make India a part of the modern progressive world of science and humanism and therefore advocated the introduction of modern Western science, philosophy, and literature. Some of the British officials who came to India after 1820 were radicals. They were strongly supported by Raja Ram Mohan Roy and other like minded reformers. But predominantly, the ruling elements in the British Indian administration continued to be imperialistic and exploitative. They thought that the modernization of India had to occur within broad limits imposed by the needs of an easier and more thorough exploitation of its resources. In this respect, often the radicals also toed a conservative line. They desired most of all the safety and perpetuation of the British rule in India. Every other consideration was secondary. Indian Renaissance. There were many Indians who instigated social reform and caused legislations to be brought about so as to control and eradicate social evils embedded in so-called tradition. Ram Mohan Rai, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, B.M. Malabari, to name a few social reformers, worked hard to get legislation passed by the government to remove social evils. Dilemma before the government. The government feared that too much modernization might generate forces hostile to their interests. Thus, it was thought to be appropriate to opt for partial modernization, introducing it in some respects and blocking it in others. In other words, a colonial modernization. Role of Christian missionaries. The missionaries regarded Christianity to be a superior religion and wanted to spread it in India through westernization, which they believed would destroy the faith of the natives in their own religion and culture. Towards this end, the Christian missionaries supported the radicals whose scientific approach they believed would undermine the native culture and beliefs, supported the imperialists since law and order and the British supremacy were essential for their propaganda, sought business and the capitalist support, holding out the hope to them that the Christian converts would be better customers of their goods. British retreat. After 1858, however, the policy of hesitant modernization was gradually abandoned. However, the Indians proved to be apt pupils and shifted rapidly towards modernization of their society and assertion of their culture and demanded a rule in accordance with the modern principles of liberty, equality, and justice. Now the British came to side with the socially orthodox and conservative elements of society. They also encouraged casteism and communalism. Like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you. Bye.